Welcome to another tutorial. I'm Lorraine Sish and I'm with StampWithLorraine.com, and I'd like to show you today how to do a raised panel card. This is pretty simple. All you need is a card base and just pretty much another layer to create these raised panels. So basically you have your card base, and on the front you have smaller panels that are not just glued down but raised with some kind of thickness, either dimensional dots or foam strips. And then in between is going to be your focal point, whether it's designer series paper or something stamped like I did here. And I'd like to show you, of course, a variety of different ways that you can work with this. So stay tuned to the very end. You know, I show you a lot of different options. So if you like the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up down below. I really appreciate that. It helps me reach other stampers. And please feel free to leave a comment below. I love the feedback. And don't forget to visit StampWithLorraine.com. If you like, you can sign up for my newsletter while you're there. And it'll bring you a lot more tips and keep you posted of Stampin' Up! Specials and products. Speaking of specials, right now it is May 2022 and there is a wonderful special for joining as a demonstrator. You don't have to have the business, you can just be a hobbyist, and if you sign up now you will get a whole new in color packet worth $66.50 that is in addition to your already fabulous starter kit, which is only $99, and you get $125 worth of things. So if you're interested, reach out, send me an email, send me a comment, and I will get back to you if you're interested in learning about that. It's a fabulous deal. Minimums for the quarters are easy. You can quit anytime, and I'd love for you to be part of my team if that's something that you might be interested in. So enjoy the split. Not the split panel, I'm sorry. Some people call this a split panel, but I'm calling it a raised panel. And because the panels are raised, it does have a split in between. So that's where sometimes people call it a split panel. Either way, it's a fun, easy card. So let's turn the camera around and get started. Okay, so I started off with a regular card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You can also have it flipped vertically if you like. I'll show you some of those later. And my top layer, I started off with 5 1/4 by 3. And then I just cut a split down the middle. Mine just happens to be 1 inch and 2 inches, leaving that gap in between. You can just randomly cut it to wherever you want to see that gap there. This card can work vertically or horizontally. And what we're going to do is fill something in there. You can stamp or you can use some DSP. So I'm going to be using this DSP, that's the Hues of Happiness. And then I'll show you some that were stamped also. The Hues of Happiness has 12 by 12 sheets, and a lot of the sheets have this almost like a rainbow effect where you have all these colors on one sheet. So you can kind of pick and choose the colors that you want. So I cut actually a piece from a different part of the designer paper. So this one happens to be like this. Notice you have blues and purples on the one side and you have the pinks and the yellows on the other side. So I cut a strip of that to be the part that's going to show through from underneath my panels. Like this. So this is going to be kind of like a clean and simple, you know, kind of card. So you're going to have a lot of white space, but just sort of a pop of color. All right, and that's going to be showing through there. So then I took the other sheet of designer paper that has the bigger flowers, and I cut out one of the big flowers and a couple of the leaves. Now the die set that comes with this will cut out these pieces, so you don't have to fussy cut them. Oops, I just dropped a piece. Good thing it didn't fall in the garbage, right? That has happened before, and I've had to dig through for the little piece. Okay, so this is the Blossoming Happiness dies that comes part of the bundle and part of the collection. You can actually get the whole collection of the DSP, the stamps. Here's the stamp set and the dies. So kind of very nice. It's been very popular. All right, so this will actually cut out the flower right here, so you don't have to fussy cut it. And what else is nice is this is small enough that it fits on the mini machine. And I'm going to run the flower and 2 leaves, because these leaves also have matching dies. And one thing that's exciting is there are going to be some mini plates, a mini magnetic plate that comes out for this mini machine. The bigger machine has a magnetic plate already available, and now the mini will be coming out fairly soon. They're just still kind of working on little designs. Some of you might remember years ago, for when we had the Big Shot, we had a magnetic plate so that when you put your dies down, they didn't move around. And since then, we've been either just gently doing this or putting some washi tape down so that the pieces don't move. So I'm glad to hear the magnetic plates are coming back. And I think from what I read a while ago, it's going to be a little bit better magnet-wise. The old one was several separate magnets across the plate. So sometimes when you put your die down, it would kind of slip or not stay exactly where you want it to be, and it would kind of pull to another spot. That's because one spot might not have had a magnet right there, and it was pulling to the spot where there was another magnet. So I think the new plate is going to be much better in that it's going to be like one whole plate of magnet all the way across, if that makes any sense. If you look closely on the old plate, you can actually see, like mine is all worn, you can actually see the places where there were little dots where those magnets are. All right, so here we go. We have those all die cut out much quicker than fussy cutting. Although these wouldn't be difficult to fussy cut if you don't have the dies. But it's nice to do it nice and quickly. And I haven't played with them yet, but this has a nice little filigree viney kind of thing here and some borders, and I can't wait to mess around with that. So that should be fun. So I'm going to decide where I want my designer series paper, which is, I cut it just a hair less than the 5 1/4, just a hair, because I didn't want it hanging too far over on the edge. I just found I'd rather it be slightly short than slightly too long. Okay, so I'm going to just be gluing that down. Okay, and then these panels are going to get raised up over here, but first I'm going to stamp my sentiments, and I could do it down here or up here. This will eventually go over here. So because there's a lot of room on the top, I think I might put my sentiment right here. So the Happiness Abounds set has all these really, really pretty sentiments on here. And I love the handwriting and the little swirl in the beginning and the end, and a mix of print and script. So you have just about anything you want on here. So let's just do a happy birthday. Always need those. See, this one's brand new. I haven't even used them yet. Okay, so let's find the happy birthday. Here we go. That on my long block. Okay, nice to use your grid paper to help you line up, especially those skinny ones. It might not be perfect if you don't line up your block perfectly, but at least it's a start, right? Okay, I'm going to do that in, actually I'm going to do it in Early Espresso because that's the color that's in there. So I often do black, but let's tie in with the Early Espresso this time. I'm trying to gravitate to using other colors for my sentiments. I like the black because it really pops out. This is the next best thing, right? Okay, so I line up my paper just to give me a little extra confidence that maybe I'm getting this straight. Aha, not too bad. Okay, so then I'm going to take my foam strips. Like I said, you can use dimensional dots if you want, but this foam strip is going to give stability all around this panel. Whereas if you do dots, you're going to have to put quite a few all the way around up and down because you don't want it sagging when it's on your card front, right? So the foam strips are pretty easy, and you get 2 of these sheets in here, and oh gosh, I don't know how many strips are here, but you do get a lot and it goes a long way. So basically we just pull off the strip and lay it down, and then I'll need more to fill up the rest of the side. And then I'll just cut it. Do the same thing on the other side. And I like to close up that gap a little bit there. To give that support there. The smaller piece, I wouldn't worry about it so much, but the wider piece, I would. You know, you don't want to have such a pretty card and then have it sag. I like to put just a little something in the middle too. Might be a little of overkill, but I would just rather it look nice and be assured it's not going to look shabby. Okay, then the same thing with the other. Like I said, I'm not going to put this in the middle or the ends because it is thin enough. Okay, so I'll even save that piece for another time. Okay, this can just go right back on there. Okay, we're ready to just assemble our card. Peel off the strips. And plop that down, leaving a little bit of a gap down below. Now these strips are very sticky, so be confident where you're placing it because you will not be able to get it off very easily if you make a mistake. So that's what I usually like about glue, but you don't have that option here. Actually, a different idea. You will have a little of that option. So stay tuned. Kind of a clever idea I saw somebody doing. Okay, so get right over top. Okay, so now it's kind of like you have this little recessed area and your print is showing through from the inside. And then I'm just going to add my flower on there. You know, if you wanted, you could pop it up with dimensional dots. Actually, maybe I'll put one in the middle. I did see another demonstrator do this card, and I said, oh, this is going to be really lovely to share with you too. So I will give her credit on the video when I remember her name. Okay, and she even kind of ruffled this up a little bit. I'm going to make sure my dimensional dot gets on there and fills in some of that area. And then we'll just add a little glue to the leaves. Let's see, where should I put this? Okay, we'll do it like that. let this hang down. Oops, wrong side. Okay, the good thing about using glue is you have a little time to move things around, and the bad thing is you have to hold it so it doesn't move around to where you don't want it to be, right? Okay, so look how pretty that is. Nice and easy, just having that little strip of something inside there. So like I said, you could use DSP or you can stamp something on the inside. So I'm going to show you the one that I stamped. Orchid Oasis is the card base for this one. And I'm just kind of loving this color. I'm not usually a purpley person, but I do love blue. So this is kind of cross between a bluish and a purple. And it's just so different that I think I'm really attracted to it because of that. Something different for a while. Okay, so I stamped tone on tone Orchid Oasis on the Orchid Oasis cardstock. And if you look closely, you could see that I stamped some full strength and then without re-inking, stamped again so I got that lighter tone in there. And I just stamped in the area where I'm going to have my opening. Then I took my white card pieces, and this one is going to be vertical with the fold on top. So starting with 11 by 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Okay, just for it to open a little bit different way. And I'm going to put my pieces on this way. So keeping it nice and clean and simple. I have my sentiment on here. This is from the set Nature's Prints. And I used just this one stamp here and the You're on My Mind. How easy is that? One stamp, one ink color, and one cardstock color, plus the white. All right, so I'm going to just attach this on. I'm going to hold it sideways. It's a little easier for me. Now you'll notice this one, I'm going all the way to the top and the bottom of the card. So my white strips are 5 1/2 inches long. I'm not leaving any border top or bottom, but when I put it down, I am going to leave a little border on this side. All right, so same thing here. I left this off to, again, show you how to add those foam strips. Okay, I better put a little something down there. And don't forget, you can use these edges up here too. And I'll cut a couple for the middle. Okay, peel those off. Okay, you can see my boo-boo on the back. Didn't like that. It wasn't straight enough. So flip it over and do it again. Okay, again, I'm going to hold it sideways so I can make sure I get my edges good. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border over here as well. And it's going to just allow what I stamped to show through in between there. Okay, so nice, clean, and simple look. And of course, we can add just a little bit of embellishments. And I'm going to use the decorative matte dots that comes in the current in color, the newest in colors, 2022 to 24. And these are, even though they coordinate with the in colors, they are sort of more of a pastel-y version of them. So this you could see is the Sweet Sorbet, but it's a little bit a coordinating, a lighter tone, you might say. Okay, and the same thing with the Parakeet Party and so forth. So this is actually the Orchid Oasis, and I did use that on a different card. So this one, I'm going to use the one that coordinates with the Starry Sky, but that actually looks very close to this color. So I'm going to put a couple of those dots on there just to use up some of that space there using my Take Your Pick tool. Let's see, I'm trying to do it differently from what I did before. Better up there. Okay, well, I think I'll do it close to what I did before. I liked it then. I like it again, right? Okay, I'll do here. Okay, so just to add a little something to take up that white space. Put that back. So now here's some other versions of that same card. I did the same thing, but I had a strip that I was experimenting with in the Orchid Oasis. I was experimenting what the ink would look like on there. So of course I couldn't let that go to waste. I said, okay, let's try to incorporate that into the card. So I actually just put that on the strip of white. So for a little bit different look on there. Okay, so like I said, no right or wrong way. You can always play around. If you're not sure what to do, a lot of people ask me, gee, I'm not sure, I get stuck, I don't know what to do. Do them all. Try them all. See what you like. Okay. And then here's another one where I only did the one panel. So I like the idea of this all coming out off the side as if it's peeking out. And I like the look of seeing the edges of those branches. So I said, you know, we're just going to keep the panel on there. And you can see this is the Orchid Oasis matte dots that I put on there. So it's a little bit lighter color than the ones here. But I like the look of that as well. Okay, so 3 different versions. Oh, and then on the inside, I put the little teeny tips of those branches over here as if they're kind of meeting up with here to kind of balance out the card a little bit. So 3 versions, play around with them and see what, see what works. You have an idea or 2, try them all and they all could be fine. They all could be good. All right, so then another version is where I took DSP from Pretty Prince. This one just has a few colors. The Evening Evergreen, the Blackberry, the Bermuda Bay, and the Coral with those fern patterns on there and little, dandelion, silky things and some splotchy things, so some very subtle patterns there. So I took one of these big ones, and you can see it's variegated in the tones, darker on some places and lighter on the other. So I cut a strip that was a little bit lighter to work with my soft succulent. And this one's vertical because the print definitely goes, in my eye anyway, it looks like it goes up on top here. And then I took my panels and I ran them through the fern embossing folder. This is really, really beautiful. It's one of those 3D folders and has called 3D because it isn't, the part that's embossed and raised isn't flat. So it has different, some parts are raised more than others. So that's what gives it the 3D effect. Some of the ferns in the background are not as highly raised as the ones in the foreground. And so again, just put my strips on the back there and I'll put that on like that. And I stamped my sentiment, heartfelt thank you from the Nature's Print as well. Right there. And I would just glue that on there and have a really pretty card with that texture as well as the raised panel. All right, so I'll put that together and show you the finished product at the end. And then one with actually stamping on the inside. I just got this set and I was so excited about it because I just love it. It's nice and cheery, and yes, it's flowers again, but it's a little bit different. So it's the Sending Smiles, and it has a lot of different sentiments on here. So you can have sending smiles across the miles, sending all the good luck your way, okay, and so forth. Of course, you can, just use these on your own too. A card to say hello, a note of thanks, birthday wishes, right? So, and then you have all the pieces of the flower to go along with that. Comes with dies, of course. Sending dies is called, and the dies match up with the flower, all the flower pieces. You have a couple of label strips that you can fit your sentiments in. You have a couple of freestanding flowers that you know, don't necessarily match up with a stamped thing. And what is really cool and different about this one is a look that I've always loved, and I've had to fussy cut before, is you have dies that outline the word sending. This one actually die cuts the word sending very thin, and this one is like a shadow background. You can stamp the word sending, and okay, this is a different size. It says on the front here the images are at 80%. So, okay, here's the actual stamp. You can cut that out like that with your die, or you can actually cut out the word sending in cardstock, which is what I'm going to show you, and remind people again how to use those adhesive sheets on the back. So I've already cut this out of white. That's going to be my sort of shadow, my extra layer in the back to lift up the word sending. So I cut a piece of cardstock. This is in the Starry Sky. Let's love that dark, dark blue. And I'm going to put a piece of adhesive sheet on the back, and then I'm going to run that through the die cut machine. Now remember, these adhesive sheets come in 12 by 12, so you just have to cut the size that you want to your cardstock. And my trick, I like to fold down just a piece of it to know that I'm getting it straight. And then I'll pull off the back, and it's good to go. Then I'm going to just run that through my die cut machine. Fits on the mini here. I do like having both, the mini and the big machine. I confess I probably use the big one more often, but the mini is so good to just keep on my desk here. I don't have to walk across the room to the big machine. But the benefit of that is I get to get up and walk. So it's okay. All right, so look how nice and thin that die cuts out the word sending. And I just noticed, I think I lost my little dot here for the eye. Well, I'll have to add that on later. Just pop out these little pieces. And if you have a fine tip glue pen or glue bottle, then that could probably work on here, but it does get a little tricky trying to get glue that it doesn't leak over everything. But I'm just going to peel off the back of that, and then look how nice that is on there. So you do want to make sure you get it straight, so you want to do it carefully and slowly. It's very delicate. Okay, I actually have to stand up for this. Just kind of feed it along letter by letter, nice and easy. Okay, and there you go. I will, oh, is that the eye? Oh, I think that's the eye. Now that's going to be tricky. So, my take your pick tool comes in handy. I'm going to stick that on the end there and try to pull off the back. There we go. And then adhere that on. Just like that. There we go. All right, so here's my card base that I stamped, that center piece that's going to show through. And I used all the flowers from the Sending Smiles. And I didn't do any of the stems, just the flowers to make this collage here. And then I took what I thought was a leaf. This is pretty funny. It was late last night, so please excuse me. But what I thought was a leaf to add little leaves in between there. Then I come to realize, okay, that wasn't a leaf at all. It was the center of this flower, which I ended up using this other one for the center of the flower. You know, the daisy, that's kind of, you only see the half of it. But anyway, don't tell anybody. For our purposes, it's leaves. So I guess you could use it that way too. So I used Starry Sky, Sweet Sorbet, and Melon Mambo, and Pear Pizzazz for the leaves. So we're going to put our raised panel over here, and I'm going to, again, go all the way to the edge, top and bottom. I stamped sending sunshine to brighten your day, because I have just the person I want to send this to who's going through some health issues. And that's going to go in here. So I'm going to show you our last trick of ways you can raise this up if you don't want to use your dimensional dots or you don't have the foam strips. I saw somebody use this packing foam. When I moved, I got tons of this kind of stuff that came in pockets, and I was able to put my dishes in there, and it's nice and thin and this sort of clear foam. And you can actually cut this to the size of your cardstock piece. Glue it to the back and put it on there. And then you just really have to glue that one piece. You don't have to go along with your foam strips. Isn't that so clever? And now here's where you have that wiggle room because you're using liquid glue. You can use a tape runner too, I imagine. Okay. And then I'm going to add this onto here. And oh, I even like how it's a little bit on an angle. I like how that worked. But of course I have a little smudge there, so if you don't have one of these adhesive erasers, little gummy thing, check your local craft store and get one, because it will take off little bits of adhesive and smudges. Not ink smudges, but glue smudges. All right, so I'm going to glue this down and then see where I want my sending. Leaving a little edge at the top. Okay, my original idea was to put it straight, but I kind of like it on an angle like that. It's like you were writing your cursive letters across. See, funny how things just kind of come upon you. Go with it. Okay, so how pretty is that, right? Nice bold colors. Love it. And it's raised up here with that little foam packing. And we have lots of versions. So there we go. Put this one together later. That, and that. And then the ones in the Orchid Oasis. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, one other, if you wanted, also, you can mat these. You don't have to leave them plain like that. And I did cut some pieces. I don't remember where they went now. Okay, so if you wanted, of course, you can put your white a little bit smaller on there, and you can have this kind of a look, right? You can mat it and have that extra framing to your panel. So that's an idea too. All right, so play around with it, see what you come up with. Lots of ideas, right?